Just like...
Okay. Hey guys, I'm C,
I'm Key.
who's eating chips, and welcome to episode 3 of Girls, Ghosts, and Ghouls. Tonight's a little bit different.
A lot different.
A lot different because we're not where we normally record.
Yeah.
Where are we?
A tent.
We're in a tent in the middle of the provincial
Nowhere.
park.
Just kidding.
In the middle of nowhere. Camping in the provincial park in the forest. So I decided that tonight's story should feature around a legendary but kind of scary. Hey, that rhymes. Forest, the Black Forest in Germany. Have you heard of it?
No.
Well, just you
black
wait.
trees? Is that a thing?
Black trees? If they're dead, I think. I don't know. No. It's called that because there's so many trees and it's so dense that barely any sunlight can get through the trees. So it's so dark in there. And it's really easy to get lost. So they call it the Black Forest. Or, well, I'm sure they call it something else in German. But that's what it translates to, basically. So that's a fun time. Yeah.
What?
What?
Not the Black Forest cake.
What?
Oh, Blackfoot. Our mom's also in the tent, by the way. Hi, Mom.
Did you say Blackfoot?
She said Black Forest cake.
Oh, Sarah loves that.
Yeah, our cousin Sarah really likes that.
I don't really. I like the cherries, but otherwise it's like, That cake yesterday was good. Anyways.
Anyway. And we're going to start a separate podcast about cake. How much we like it.
Baking podcast.
No. Anyway, so the Black Forest is in Germany. We went over that. It's in the southwest of Germany, right? Like at the bottom almost, well, basically right on the border.
Excuse me.
You're not excused.
You still need this on?
No. Okay, sorry. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
All right, so in ancient times, the Black Forest was known as the Abnoba Mons after the Celtic deity Abnoba. In Roman times, it was given a new name called the Silva Marciana, or the Marcinian Forest, from the Germanic word marca, which meant border. So basically, they were calling it the border town, or the bordered forest.
Okay.
So the earliest colonized, well, I'm sure it was colonized before this, but the areas and towns around there, the earliest record of there is that the forest is mentioned in 819.
Like the year?
The year 819.
The year.
The year. So
that was like, that was almost 200 years ago, right? Right? Yeah. No.
way more than that. 1,200 years ago.
1819. Oh, wait.
819, not 18.
8.
Yeah. Like 819.
I thought you meant like 1819.
No.
I was like, yeah, that's like 200 years ago.
Yeah. No, it's like way longer than
like
that.
1,200 years
Yeah,
ago. Literally.
exactly. It's, yeah. Basically, next year it would be exactly 1,200 years ago.
Yeah. Depending on the month.
So the forest, because it was so dense, it was a really good place for people to hide too. So a lot of planned uprisings in Germany took place there. So people that were building armies and military, they would go there and they would get all their people together in the forest and have the camp there. So apparently, like the I wish I spoke German. The Bund movement.
German?
I don't. That was just before the German Peasants' War in 16th century started in the Black Forest as well. And a bunch of other uprisings took place there over the next 2 centuries as well.
What was that?
That was some kind of weird bird.
Like a woodpecker?
Maybe. We are literally surrounded by
forest.
trees. So sorry if there's any unexpected sounds that
Bears.
we don't even know. Yeah, so
It's not Willow this time.
what?
It's not Willow this time.
Oh, yeah. So in the middle 19th century, the Black Forest was actually almost completely deforested by intensive forestry. So people were trying to like cut down a bunch of trees because they wanted lumber. So they like almost destroyed the entire forest. And then in 1990, a lot of damage was done to it by 2 hurricanes. And another hurricane in 1999 also did a lot of damage to it. So it's got a really long history. And
999 or 19?
No, 1999. There was a hurricane there and it did a lot of damage to the trees.
So when you were 9.
Yeah. And there's also a lot of mining and stuff that goes on in there. But that's not what we're here to talk about. So the Black Forest, because notoriously it is such a dark place, like literally a dark place.
Like literally.
Like literally dark. A lot of legends started coming out of there because people would go in and then
not come out.
never come out because they would get lost
It's dark.
or because some of these legends are true. You never know. But for the skeptics out there, I mean, it's a really dark, really dense forest. So if you go in there not knowing where you're going without a map, you might not come out alive. And I'm sure that there's wildlife there that might
Raccoons.
eat you.
Squirrels. Those are dangerous.
Yeah, so a lot of the stories told by the Grimm's brothers, the fairy tale stories like Hansel and Gretel,
Hansel and Gretel,
whatever, all take place in the Black Forest because there were so many legends surrounding it and it was so
What
spooky.
else? Like Little Red Riding Hood?
Little Red Riding Hood takes place in the Black Forest. I'm trying to think of another example.
Sleeping Beauty? Nah.
Maybe. No, I don't know if
I
that's...
don't really go to the forest.
I don't know if that's a Grimm's brothers
That's
fairy
actually
tale.
so dark, the real story.
Yeah, I know.
It's
So many of them are. All of theirs are really dark. But anyway, majority of their stories take place there because they were German.
Little Red Riding Hood, why does your grandma live there?
With the wolves. Tell her to move. Anyways, so most of the stories center around sorcerers and wizards and witches. Stop making that clicking noise and making fun of me. And that started around the same time that it was first colonized. So these stories of witches and wizards and sorcerers, which I kind of all the same thing, I think.
Sorcerer River
They all started since the beginning.
of time.
Beginning of time. But they say that they came in many different forms. So that's where some of the other legends come from. So they didn't always present themselves as humans who were doing witchcraft. Sometimes they presented themselves as like animals or wolves. Exactly. So
Yellow, it's a girl.
it says they came as so-called, oh God, German, Freischützen.
Just spell it.
Freischützen. What's the 2 dots called?
The 2 dots.
Above the U, but it's got a
dots.
name.
I don't know.
I can't remember. TZEM.
Like circumflex is the little house.
Yeah, no, it's an
Accent
oglet.
aigu.
An
Accent
oglet? No.
aigu.
Anyways, I guess it's not important. They came as these Fleischschützen. Okay, so one of their disguises was that they would come as Fleischschützen, who are marksmen who fire bullets or arrows.
Were marksmen.
Yes, and with the help of the devil, they never missed their mark. So they would kill people with their bullets or their arrows or whatever they were firing at the time. Another one of their disguises were werewolves, and that's where a lot of the wolf stories come from. They're just talking about a story here. I don't need to talk about that.
We're not reading off notes, as you can tell.
Yeah, no, I'm
I have this
clearly
memorized.
referring to my notes. Okay, so another legend that surrounded the werewolves came from a man who kept having his sheep.
Words.
Words are hard.
Something kept killing his sheep.
Something kept killing his sheep, and it was
And
a wolf.
It wasn't. Surprise. It wasn't the shepherd.
And it was a wolf. So he shot the wolf, and it ran off, but then he assumed it died because he shot it in the heart. And it didn't come back. But the next day, a man was found dead with the same wound in his bed. So they believed that he was a werewolf. Exactly. So that's where that one came from. So that's not exactly something that you want to go walking, a place you want to go walking around.
You will kill people if you shoot wolves.
Werewolves and witches aren't the only thing that you have to look out for in the Black Forest, though. They say that there are apparitions there as well.
Team Jacob. Just saying. Team Jacob.
Oh. I said apparitions. I'd moved on from werewolves.
I know, but I was waiting to say that. And then I realized it had been too long, so I was like, I gotta say it now before she moves on.
You missed your... I was in the process of moving on. Okay, so apparitions, aka... ghosts.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
So some of the ghosts are two monks from St. Blasian. Apparently they had mercilessly oppressed the abbey's subjects and therefore remained there after they died to keep haunting the people that moved into the abbey or lived around it.
Makes sense.
Because they were like control freaks. They're like, no, you must do what we want. You must keep in line. So they never left after they died. They're like, no.
Fair enough.
This place cannot run without us. We have to stay here. Makes sense. But they were finally banished by a devout Capuchin monk from the Stafun who exorcised their ghosts, captured them in sacks, and threw them from the Feldberg mountain into the Feldsee lake.
Sounds like fun.
But
There's more.
there's more. In that lake,
Is where they are.
dwarves live there.
Dwarves?
Yes, supposedly.
Like the ones from the movies, Little Short People?
Like
I don't, oh my god, that's so bizarre. Why did I say that? I mean, like,
from Snow White.
yeah. Oh my god.
I'll edit that out. It's fine.
No, it's okay. You don't have to.
Yeah, so they say apparently down in that lake there are dwarves who help people out whenever it's necessary, so they're pretty good.
Hi-ho.
Exactly. They're off to work. They go.
helped
They're
Snow
miners.
White.
There's mining that
They're
goes on in that
miners.
forest.
How are they living alone if they're miners?
Ha 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 ha. But cruel individuals hated the dwarves.
Typical.
AKA the
evil
helpers.
queen.
No. So a man, oh God, whose name was Knecht Ruprecht von Ballingsfeld.
You want to do an accent, it makes it worse.
I feel like it makes it better. Hated them, and his sister, what?
Was that a Transylvanian accent?
No, that was an attempt at a German accent. His sister, whom he intended to force into marriage with a guy who was Knecht Bruno von Steinegg. I'm going to assume that Knecht means something like Mr. or like Lord or something, yeah. Or sir, I don't know. But anyway, he was going to force her into marry that, and she was really unhappy and really troubled, and she left.
She was unhappily?
She was unhappy and troubled about it, because she was like, I don't want to marry this dude. And then he was like, well, you're going to, so suck it up.
I don't want to.
And then she ran away. But when she left, her brother ran after her, and so did her fiance, or would-be fiance.
Fiance.
Her betrothed. But she was saved by the dwarves. They led her, exactly, to a secret cave. And
what? Not a cottage?
No, they led her to a secret cave, and she hid in there. But when her brother and her betrothed came closer along the cliff, they were killed dead by falling rocks, and she got away.
It was the dwarves.
It was the dwarves. They pushed
Rocks.
the rocks. Falling rocks, air
You can't
quotes.
see the air quotes. Falling rocks.
That we're doing right now. Exactly. They say that the secret hiding place that they led her to get away was the Dripstone Cave in Hassel, which is in the south part of the forest.
Noted.
You know, in case you want to go there.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I wouldn't.
Cool.
Are the dwarves still there?
I have a note that there were also female dwarves as well.
Yeah, don't
Equality.
be sexist.
Yeah, there's both. If you were thinking these were just male dwarves, you would be wrong. They were also
Snow White
women.
has taught you nothing.
What?
Snow White is
Snow White
only
taught you
male
wrong.
dwarves. That's what I
Just
said,
wrong.
nothing.
Not nothing. Well,
What is nothing?
apparently it taught you a lot about history. That's where Snow White came from. Anyway,
Yes. Females can mine. Ugh.
yeah. But so those are some of the stories that happen there. More often than not, though, the legends that people tell surround witches, which is what we started with. But they said they call them wicked women, weather witches, herb witches, and cattle witches who did evil handiwork in all of the forest. So they surrounded the whole thing.
And witches with a B.
What?
Witches with a B.
You're funny.
I'm not saying it.
Yeah, no, you can if you want to, but you don't. Also,
I'm
don't
not
have
going
to.
to.
The
Don't
only
peer pressure
problem
me.
is that because these stories of witches were so widespread and people were so fanatical about them and about avoiding the forest because of the witches, think like the Bell Witch story or Blair Witch. Like people were like, do not go in here. There's witches that any woman that was found like in the forest,
You witch with a B.
they would consider them a witch and they would put them through witch trials and often kill them in the forest. So they say that you can hear their screams when you're walking through the forest, and they are coming from a castle there where they would have been killed.
Is the castle still there?
Yeah. So you can go there if you want to. Why not?
Do they have like forest rangers?
I mean,
Like
I don't
now,
know.
I mean,
Probably.
people that like patrol.
I don't know. But they say it's like a really big tourist spot. Like people go there to look for ghosts and
Well, then they probably have like
dwarves
people
and
that work
witches.
there.
Yeah, probably.
Well, they obviously didn't before. All these things wouldn't happen.
What? I mean, you don't know. Maybe they go missing too. The castle that we were talking about, its name is Eberg Castle. And the
Eberg
ladies
Castle.
there are only visible during the night. The ones whose screams and cries you can hear, but you can actually see them at night if you're walking there. I don't know why you'd want to go walking through there at night.
To see them.
No, thank you. And apparently there is a legendary wine cellar in the castle that no one's ever been able to find. So
If you want aged
if you
wine.
really want wine that no one's touched in, yeah, then that would be the place to go.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of people we've talked about this, people going missing in there, but apparently there was a lot of maiden women that were going missing in the forest. That could be for a lot of reasons, but that sparked a legend about a undead king who lived in the lake. This is a different lake called Mummel Lake. And he would come up from the water, go into the surrounding villages or through the forest, capture these women, and then drown them and bring them down to his underwater lair, and then they would never be found again. So very similar to a siren
Mermaid.
or a mermaid.
Aquaman!
Aquaman is an ancient king who's killing people. Cool. Whatever.
Weird.
Yeah,
Is
so those
Aquaman
are...
a mermaid?
I think he's half mermaid, half human. I don't even know if it's mermaid.
I'll see the movie.
But like, yeah, watch the movie and
Not
you'll find it out.
sponsored.
Yeah.
I
Or just
wish.
watch
I
Justice
wish
League.
it
They
was
might tell you in that movie.
We don't know. We haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen the whole thing. I saw part of it the other day. Anyways, why are we
prefer
talking about
Marvel.
Justice League? It's irrelevant. Yeah, we're Marvel fans. They do a better job.
No. No beef.
So beyond these spooky stories, there have been real life deaths that have taken place there as well.
Yeah.
Dun dun
Just like
dun.
any good place.
Just like any dark forest. One of the most kind of tragic stories or most publicized stories happened in 1936, and it took the lives of 5 British schoolboys who were on a school trip. It was a class of 27 of them, but only 5 of them died. People were saying that it gave a lot of, what's the word, backing.
I don't know. Mom, you're getting a call.
Someone's getting a
I'm
call.
gonna answer it. And you're gonna turn it off.
Where is it?
It's over there.
Okay, we'll just
Sit
wait.
down now.
We'll just wait. Okay.
No, Kira, you're wrong.
So, anyways, they said it gave a bunch of backing to the propaganda for Hitler,
Okay.
and for him to be like,
I have no idea where it is.
It's right behind you.
It's beside her. It's not
or
behind
beside you,
her. I threw it over there.
other side. This is all going in the podcast.
Oh my god. Yeah. Does it work? Was Kira wrong?
No, it wasn't working.
Okay. Anyways. Okay, so yeah, but because it was British boys that died on this trip in Germany, it gave him a lot of backing to be like, ha ha ha. Anyways,
I'm good.
so the boys were from the Strand School, which was from Brixton, England, and they were leaving for a 10-day Easter trip in the Black Forest southern area.
This is why I shouldn't go on the Europe trip at school.
They went with their 27-year-old teacher, Kenneth Keast.
Yes, I like that name. And
Kenneth? Yeah,
I like that.
it's a pretty cool name.
it's like
on-
Keelan, but not. But
It's nothing like
It's both
Kenneth, not Kevin.
I didn't say Kevin.
You say, I don't know.
I don't like that
Anyway,
name.
what?
I dislike it, but I wouldn't name my kid Kevin. The only Kevin I really
Kevin's
like.
a girl.
The only Kevin I really like is Kevin Jonas.
What? Okay. We should note that Keelan
was
doesn't
my
know
first
very many
concert.
Kevins.
Jonas Brothers was my first concert.
That's true. Anyways.
Sponsor me. What?
And the space alien. Yeah, Kevin the alien.
Oh my god, I thought you were saying the space alien called her. I was like, what? Oh, it's a space alien.
We are out of control
Call.
in this tent. Nothing is going to plan.
I don't think
Okay.
she even has Kevin the alien anymore.
Keelan, back on track.
No, Kevin.
I know. Back on track. Kenneth. Cursed. Keast. That's not even his name.
Who did he curse?
Oh, God. Kenneth Keast
Kenneth
was their teacher. He was 27. He
interesting.
was with them. On the
cursed Keith.
Keelan.
Oh my god, you just played along.
On the morning of April 17th, 1936, the group started walking towards the village of Todnaberg.
Don't do an accent.
I'm trying not to.
Todnaberg.
Help. 15 miles distance over the summit of a mountain. Emerging 3 hours later from a wood, they encountered a steadily falling snow. But they disregarded it, and they were kind of like playing with the snow because they were like, oh, snow, this is great. So they were throwing snowballs and stuff like that. And they like gave up they were like kind of in a march, as you would say. And they kind of gave up on that. They were playing in the snow and all that stuff. The teacher noticed that some of the boys were dressed in like sandals and stuff and shorts, and they were beginning to get pretty tired and with the snow, but he just kept pushing them to keep going. And he'd been warned earlier by people in the village that any snow would make their route really dangerous to keep going. So they were said, like, if you encountered any snow, don't keep going, turn around and come back.
Why?
Because they weren't properly prepared for snow. And the day before, the tourist office had warned them of an approaching storm of snow, which he'd said,
like,
oh, it's fine. We're British. Like, we're familiar with like extreme weather changes. We can handle it. Yeah. You don't know how to handle snow, England. Simmer down.
Mom, don't kick me in the head. I'm trying to put this in.
So yeah, he was like, oh, it's fine. Whatever. Who cares about a storm? Like, we're English. We can handle it. They could not handle it. So the snow was falling really heavily. And the group
Falling really
lost the
heavily.
trail. Like, they completely lost the trail. They didn't know where they were going anymore. And
Yeah.
they started going in a circle instead of going on their path.
You think they'd notice?
You would think. Maybe it was falling fast enough to cover their footprints.
No, but I meant like the surroundings.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
it's all
He stopped at an inn to ask about, like, where they should go.
First mistake. You never stop at an inn.
Don't stop at
That's
an inn.
not a real thing.
In the middle of the forest.
Yeah, why do they have a motel in the middle of the forest?
Don't stop there. Keep going. I don't think that's where they died.
We don't know though.
Anyway, they stopped there. He's like, okay, where do we go? Because we keep walking in circles. And the lady there said, oh, there's like signs and paths, but they're probably...
Signs.
No, she said they're probably covered by the snow. And he's like, oh, it's fine. Anytime I see a sign, I'll just brush the snow off of it.
She was like, oh, yeah.
And it was like, okay, whatever. This is dumb. But he kept going. He was like, nope, boys, let's go. We're going to keep going. And they forced their way through the snow. And then they ran into two woodcutters
What's that?
who were heading home from work.
Someone who
Like
cuts wood?
like lumberjacks.
Okay.
Yeah. But I guess in Germany, they're called woodcutters.
Yes.
So they were heading home the opposite direction, and they told him to travel on a path that goes left. And then by mid-afternoon, a local postman warned them.
Wait. The boys were in sandals.
Yeah.
They would have frostbite.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, the guys that were in sandals and shorts were going really slowly because they were getting, like,
Frostbite.
well, not just frostbite,
Losing
like,
their limbs.
cold.
Hypothermia.
Yeah, like slowing down because they were getting really cold.
You stop at the inn and you say, do you have socks?
You stop at the inn and stay there until the snow stops.
Yeah, or that.
But whatever.
Whatever,
So
Kenneth,
they
you
ran
do
into
you.
a postman.
Like a
Postman
mailman?
Pat.
Is that a mailman?
Yeah. And he was like, what are you doing? Like, stop.
idiot.
Go back. What? Like, don't keep going. And he was like, no, it's fine. We're going to keep going. So this teacher's kind of a jerk. But whatever. Then they ran past a miners' hostel. And they offered them accommodation there. So they were like, okay, like, what are you guys doing? No, you need to stay here. Like,
It's below 40.
we'll let you stay here. And he was like, no, we don't need to stay there. Some of the
Because we're all
boys,
like, please help.
yeah, the boys were like complaining about being cold, and they were like, please, like, can we stay here? And he was like, nope, we don't need to. And he said going back would be more dangerous than, like, to keep going.
So why don't you just stop?
Exactly. They were trying to get to Hofsgrund. But then his map that he had, which had been provided by a place in London, was using a 1 to 100,000 scale. So the routes that were illustrated were like not the elevations or the small trails, but like really big ones. And then they looked really small, but because the ratio was such a big ratio, they were actually not small at all. But he failed to figure that out. And
Wasn't Einstein.
no, clearly this guy was not
Not
any kind of genius or smart in any way. So he failed to figure it out. And then their next village was near a vertical ridge of the Schausland mountain. They struggled up another 600 meters of the Kapler Wands, and hearing bells, he sent 2 of the boys to locate the sound, which took them to a farmhouse just on the outskirts of where they were trying to go. But the rest of them couldn't continue because they were too cold and,
Dead.
well, some of them probably were dying. I don't know if they died then.
Yeah.
So the 2 boys made it and eventually got help to them, and they were all rescued, but 5 of the boys, well, more than 5, a lot of the boys were really like sick at this point because they had hypothermia and probably frostbite. You were right. And they were in this small village. Like, it wasn't like they were, and it was
London.
it was also 1936. So
Yeah, so it's not like they had like a
Yeah.
lot of treatment.
so they were in this small town. They weren't like anywhere near Berlin. So they were trying their best to take care of the kids where they were, but they needed to get them moving. Despite the best efforts, 4 of the boys died in the village. And then once they got to Berlin, another boy passed away.
And then they sued the teacher.
Yeah. They realized once they were in Berlin that the disaster could
Have
pay
been avoided.
political dividends with normalizing the relations between England and Germany, which were really tense at the moment because Hitler.
Who? I'm just kidding. I know who that is.
Because he had just gotten in power like 3 years before this and is right before World War II started. So the tension was already there. And now England's being like, what the hell? Our boys. Meanwhile, it's really the teacher's fault. But
Yeah, Germany did nothing.
We won't go that far.
No, I mean,
In this situation,
don't start
yeah.
any drama, Kira. Germany, you're fine.
In this situation, like, it was the teacher's fault. Like, so many people said, you need to turn back, you need to turn back, you need to turn back. Yes. But
It was like a...
the leader of the Hitler Youth Movement, Baldur von Syriac, it looks like sriracha. I almost said sriracha. He telegraphed
spicy.
Britain's ambassador, telling him a wreath from the German youth would be positioned on each boy's casket to signify their deep sympathy, and that a guard of the Hitler Youth from the area would stand sentinel over them until they were transported home. German and English newspapers both showed photographs of the uniformed Hitler Youth keeping watch over the caskets against a background of the Union Jack, which also had swastikas everywhere.
Huh?
The picture.
Swastika.
You don't know what a swastika is? It's the Nazi symbol.
Okay.
So there was
Wait, I wasn't listening. Can you go back?
So, Kate, so the Hitler Youth guy was like, okay, we're going to assign one of our Hitler Youth guards to stand like over the casket, saluting it until
Whose
we can,
casket?
the boys, the 5 boys'
Okay.
caskets, until you can get them home. So then all these newspapers went there to take pictures. And in the picture, there's a giant Union Jack, which is the British, like the Great Britain flag, with this guy in his Hitler Youth thing with all these swastikas everywhere. So people were like, what the fuck? Because, yeah, tensions were,
Tense.
not great. But they were, like, now the Hitler Youth are actually accredited with finding and helping the rest of the boys. So, yeah. They were applauded for their efforts and all that, but they do say that the cries of those boys can still be heard when you're hiking up those trails.
Wait, I thought it was the cries of women.
It is, but also the ghosts of the boys.
How do you know who's who?
I guess you don't, because this is in a different area. The cries come from that castle of the women, and you see them at night. This is in a, like, hiking trail, completely different place. But yeah, so evidently a lot of really messed up stuff happened there, both legendary and factual. I mean, we don't know that the legends aren't real,
Factual.
but we
There's
do
no
have a
facts.
couple like backed up stories and then a couple word of mouth stories.
There's so many bugs up there.
I know, there are,
They're trapped.
I
Underneath
guess.
the tarp.
Anyway, so that is the story of the Black Forest in Germany.
How long was that?
Probably 45 minutes. You want to go
No. Well, where?
to the Black Forest?
No.
I'm going to hike.
I didn't even want to walk to take the garbage out.
5 campsites over. It was a little longer than
Not
that.
campsites, 5 lots over. Oh my god.
That was.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, I'm peacing out.
Oh my god. Okay, so after we finished telling that story, our audio equipment just started to go haywire.
What?
And it's repeating and delaying.
I'm going to sleep.
And Keelan wants nothing to do with it.
Come on.
So thanks for listening, guys. And next week we will be back on Wednesday again. This time in our normal place. And hopefully have no ghost interference. Bye.